All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're taking a look at Time Technoplast Ltd's second quarter results, fiscal year 2025.
Polymers and composites, that's their world.
Yeah, they're multinational, doing everything from industrial packaging to CNG cylinders for vehicles. I got their financial report released November 11th, 2024, and their earnings presentation too.
We're going to unpack those and help you understand what the numbers are really saying, what they mean for Time Technoplast.
Right, so big picture first. Time Technoplast beat expectations. Total income up 15% year on year, came in at $13,715 million.
That's impressive, but it's not just about revenue growth, right? Profitability is key.
Definitely.
And for that, we look at EBITDA, earnings before all those deductions. It shows how profitable their operations actually are. Time Technoplast EBITDA, it jumped 18% year on year. And then their profit after tax, a whole 40% increase.
So more money, and they're getting better at making it.
Exactly, and we can see that efficiency in their ROCE, return on capital employed. It tells us how well they're using investments to generate profit.
Time Technoplast's ROCE is sitting at 17%.
Above 15% is generally considered good, and if you compare that to the industry or even their own history, it indicates they're doing very well, using their resources wisely.
Let's break down their business segments. They've got two main ones: polymer products and composite products. Polymers, those are like the classic items: drums, jerrycans, pipes.
Stuff you might see in a warehouse. Essential, but not super flashy.
Yeah, and that segment saw a steady 13% growth year on year.
Not bad, but their composite products, that's where things get exciting. Those CNG cylinders we mentioned earlier, that's part of it.
Oh, okay.
Those are really taking off. 18% revenue jump year on year for that segment. CNG cylinders specifically up 34%.
Makes sense, with alternative fuels becoming more important.
For sure. And Time Technoplast, they're moving toward value-added products, more complex, higher tech, better profit margins.
So not just a basic drum, but maybe a specialized composite container for a specific purpose?
Exactly. And these value-added products, they saw a 21% growth in Q2, shows their strategy of moving up that value chain, it's working.
So is this success all about demand for composites? Or are there other things pushing this growth?
It's a combination. Their order book's strong, especially for composite cylinders and PE pipes. Sustained demand, right? Plus, they're expanding into new markets and product lines.
Got any examples?
Well, their subsidiary, TPL Plastic, they're working on a greenfield project for industrial packaging, meaning a whole new manufacturing facility from scratch.
So they're not just using what they've got, but investing in bigger production capacity.
And it's strategic. Focus on high-growth, high-margin products. Plus, they're focused on reducing debt.
Always good to hear.
Absolutely. They've reduced it by $518 million just in the first half of this fiscal year.
So that's like a 6.7% reduction of their total debt. Investors love that kind of financial prudence. Shows they're well-managed, focused on the long term.
Right, and it gives them more resources for those expansion projects and new product development we talked about.
Seems like Time Technoplast is making some really smart moves.
They are.
Their global reach stood out to me in the report. They're working in other countries, right?
Yeah, definitely. They're in both Asia and the MENA region, that's the Middle East and North Africa, operating in 11 countries total, plus 20 manufacturing spots in India alone.
Wow, covering a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Trying to be a big deal, not just in India, but internationally.
That's right. Global presence is a key part of their growth strategy. Lets them tap into diverse markets, different revenue streams, not too reliant on any one region. That's good in uncertain times.
Makes sense for a stable future.
Yeah.
What about their sustainability efforts? Lots of companies talk about it, but Time Technoplast seems serious.
Absolutely. They're putting it into practice, not just talking. Reducing their carbon footprint, minimizing waste. They even have specific targets, 10% reduction in both carbon footprint and hazardous waste from their fiscal year 2023 baseline.
10% is ambitious. How are they doing that?
A few ways. They're switching to renewable energy, want to get 10% of their electricity from solar, plus they're using energy-efficient tech in manufacturing.
So tackling both energy use and generation. What about waste?
Minimize it at the source. Better waste management. Recycling, reusing materials, exploring eco-friendly packaging, reducing materials overall.
Sounds comprehensive. But sustainability is not just the environment, it's social responsibility too, right?
Definitely, and Time Technoplasts on that. Involved in social initiatives, women's empowerment, rural development, education for underprivileged children.
Making a positive impact on communities, not just profits.
Exactly. Encouraging to see a company with these values alongside their financial goals.
Let's talk about their hold on the industrial packaging market. The earnings presentation really highlighted that, especially in India.
Dominant market share in India for those large plastic drums, and they were the first to bring in IBCs to the country.
IBCs, what are those exactly?
Intermediate bulk containers, basically big reusable containers for transporting and storing liquids, bulk materials, like industrial-sized Tupperware.
Okay, I get it. So they were pioneers there.
Yeah, and now they're the third largest IBC manufacturer globally. Pretty impressive. And they're not stopping at traditional drums. They're bringing that same spirit to composite cylinders.
Right. They mentioned being the first in India to launch a specific type of composite cylinder.
Yes. The first in India with Type 5 composite cylinders for LPG and CNG. They're lighter, stronger, safer than the old metal ones, and they've got more.
Sounds like constant innovation. What else is in the works?
Well, they've developed Type 3 composite cylinders for breathing air and medical oxygen. Big advantages there, especially weight and safety.
I can see that, especially for emergencies or people needing portable oxygen.
Exactly. And we can't forget their move into hydrogen cylinders.
Ah, yes, the fuel of the future.
First in India to get approval for making high-pressure Type 5 composite cylinders, specifically for hydrogen fuel cells.
That's huge. With the global interest in hydrogen as clean energy, they're really well positioned to benefit from that.
They are. This points to something important. Time Technoplast is lining themselves up with several big global trends. One is the shift from metal to polymer packaging.
Makes sense. Polymer's lighter, more durable, often cheaper.
Exactly. Second trend is the growth of CNG and LPG, especially in India. The government is pushing cleaner fuels, and CNG is a strong contender.
And with their composite cylinder expertise, they're in a great spot to grow from that.
Right. Third trend is the demand for hydrogen storage. As we move towards a hydrogen economy, safe and efficient storage becomes crucial. Time Technoplast is already ahead of the game there.
They seem to be anticipating these trends, planning for them, almost like they have a crystal ball.
Well, their R&D team is very capable, over 30 people with a combined experience of over 450 years. So not just following trends, but actively trying to get ahead of them, come up with innovative solutions.
Established in industrial packaging, making moves with composite cylinders, riding these global trends. What's next for them? What are they working on now?
Well, they've got some interesting projects in development. Composite fire extinguishers, for one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, lighter, more durable, longer lasting than the traditional ones.
It makes sense for something so important. You want to know it'll work when you need it.
Exactly. And they're branching out, too. One of their subsidiaries is developing transparent container batteries.
Hold on, transparent batteries.
Yeah, for things like backup power systems.
Sounds futuristic. Are they actually see-through?
They are. It's pretty cool technology. They're planning to launch these in Q4 of this fiscal year.
So we might see these soon. It's amazing how they're pushing the limits of what polymers and composites can do. But what about the market itself? How big is the opportunity for Time Technoplast?
Just the industrial packaging market globally, it's expected to reach $123.2 billion by 2032. That's a pretty big pie, and it's growing at over 5.9% each year.
So plenty of room for them to grow there. And then there's the whole composite cylinder market, which seems like it's about to explode.
Absolutely. Time Technoplast even gave some projections in their presentation. They estimate the market for CNG cascades in India alone could be around 11,453 crore over the next 8 years.
So like 1.5 billion US dollars. And that's just CNG cascades in India. Doesn't even include the potential from other vehicles, which could be even bigger.
Huge opportunity. But like any business, there are challenges.
What kind of hurdles might they face?
Well, one big one is the regulatory landscape. It's complex, especially in emerging markets where the rules for these products are still developing. Time Technoplast needs to stay on top of that in every market.
Lots of paperwork, legal stuff, anything else?
Cost management is crucial, especially for raw materials. Prices of polymers, resins, they fluctuate a lot, which can hit their profits.
So they need a good plan for getting those materials, maybe ways to protect themselves from those price swings.
Exactly. And of course, there's competition. Time Technoplast is a leader, but they're not alone. They have to keep innovating to stand out.
Their decision about their UAE business seems relevant here. They were going to sell a 50% stake to an investor, but backed out.
Yes. They had a few reasons, including wanting to become debt-free through their own growth, their ongoing QIP, and the situation in the Middle East.
What's a QIP?
Qualified institutional placement. Basically, it's how listed companies raise capital by issuing shares to specific institutional buyers, faster and simpler than a traditional public offering.
Okay, so they chose to focus on paying down debt themselves and using this QIP for funds instead of selling off part of their business.
Exactly. Shows their commitment to long-term growth and stability.
And they're aiming to reduce their debt by about 15% each year.
That's right. And it goes hand in hand with improving their working capital cycle.
Maybe a quick reminder of what working capital means.
Sure, it's the difference between a company's current assets and current liabilities. Shows their short-term financial health, whether they can meet their immediate obligations.
So good working capital means enough cash to cover expenses and invest in growth.
Right. Time Technoplast is streamlining things like inventory management, collecting payments faster, negotiating better terms with suppliers.
Tightening up their finances for better efficiency.
That's it. All of this helps their net earnings and improves their ROCE, that return on capital employed we talked about earlier. They want to increase ROCE by 2% annually.
Shows they're serious about making the most of their investments. They're also committed to keeping their shareholders happy, right?
Absolutely. Consistent dividend payments for over 25 years, that's a good sign for investors. They're sharing their profits with those who've backed them.
And they've been selling off assets that aren't central to their core business to further strengthen their balance sheet.
They've already gotten 65 crore from that, and they're aiming for another 60 crore in the next 12 months. Gives them more resources for strategic moves and growth.
So Time Technoplast seems to be bold, pioneering new products, entering new markets, managing their finances well.
And that approach, with their focus on innovation, sustainability, and being financially sound, makes them a company to watch. They're in a dynamic industry that's growing, and they look ready to take advantage of the opportunities out there.
It's great to see a company not just chasing profits, but trying to have a positive impact. Their commitment to sustainability and social responsibility is impressive.
I agree. Shows you can succeed financially and still do good for the world.
This has been a really interesting look at Time Technoplast. They've got a lot going for them, and it'll be fascinating to see where they go from here.
It will. To wrap things up, a thought for you. Could Time Technoplast, with their drive for innovation and their commitment to sustainability, become a global leader in solutions that benefit both business and the planet?